Okay, so here's a joke. A man sitting on the veranda with his wife one night when out of the blue he says, I love you. His wife says, was that you or was that the beer talking? The man says, that was me talking to the beer. Maybe you found it funny, I found it historical. What makes a joke funny is a question that has beset the human condition since we lost our tails and started walking upright. But can scientists tell us today why we laugh? Scott Wilms is a cognitive neuroscientist and the author of the book Ha! Science of When We Laugh and Why. And he joins us from member station KUAR in Little Rock, Arkansas. Thanks for being with us, Scott Wilms. Thank you very much for having me. Tell me a joke, and let's break it down a little bit, would you? Sure, I should warn you too. As a scientist, I'm not trained very well to tell jokes, but I'll do my best. Alright. So a dog walks in the telegraph office, and he says, I want to send a message, and the operator says, sure, what would you like to send? And the dog says, woof woof, woof woof woof, woof 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 woof. And the operator pauses a second and gasps. You know, that's only 9. You can send a 10th woof for free. And the dog replies, but that would make no sense. We'll never laugh when I tell the joke. I'm giggling here. Think I wouldn't hold it against you if you didn't. Alright, I'm kind of getting my comedy writing sketch part here, but you're a neuroscientist. What makes it funny? There is one part of the brain that's worth recognizing, and it's called the anterior cingulate. It's not on the surface, it's a little below, and it's what we consider our conflict detector. Anything we're confused or overwhelmed, or just we have conflicting information like in the form of a surprising punchline, this area gets very active. Why is conflict important in a joke? It's basically how you process things we don't understand. I mean, so much of our life is filled with conflict, and not just jokes. I mean, people of at funerals, people of at tragic events, and it's because these are times when we just don't know how else to respond. I mean, humor is much broader than just a stand-up routine. It is how we look at this moment in life where things don't make sense. So, lovers, coping, bonding, listening, anxiety, the sense of discovery, surprise, all these things. It is, and I think that's why it's so linked with health benefits as well. Now, humor hasn't always been looked upon so positively. You're right that Plato and Jesus weren't funny. No, I mean it's really a shame. Historically, humor has not gotten a good rep. Someone actually quantified the number of times that laughter occurred in the Old Testament. The total number is 29, and of those, only 2 are positive. In other words, only 2 are occasions of joy. Well, there's debate now whether Jesus loved not just in the New Testament, but in his whole life. And of course, Plato hopes Nietzsche. The scholars all have very negative views towards humor, because they saw it as something that weak minds did. It's not something that serious people do. Do you think men and women tell jokes differently. They do. It turns out that women love more than men, but they're much less successful in the what-if comedy, or at least there are fewer professional female comedians, which is it's a shame, and people have wondered why is this? Because it's certainly not that women have less of a sense of humor, and one evolutionary theory is that the men are raised and maybe even have an evolutionary benefit to being the funny people in relationships. Women make women laugh because it's a sign of genetic fitness. A man who can make his partner laugh is more likely to be intelligent and a good caregiver. And that's also why women consistently rate sense of humor as number one desire trait in a mate for men. Sometimes it's closer to number three, after intelligence and good looks. So women maybe are given the benefits and the encouragement to be as funny as they could or should be. You won't leave us with one last joke? Oh my, okay, I have had bad success with this in the past, but I will give it a try. Two fish are swimming in a tank, and one looks to the other and he says, "Do you know how to drive this thing?" Scott Helms is a cognitive neuroscientist and the author of Ha! The Science of When We Laugh and Why. He joined us from Little Rock, Arkansas. Thank you for joining us. Thank you very much for having me. That, that, that. Oh, what? What? Oh, the movie is over. You slept through the best part. Oh, I must have dozed off during the last few minutes. Right, you were gone for so long you should have brought your pillow and blanket. So, what did you think about it? Well, overall, I'm a little disappointed with the movie. I mean, the story was a little bizarre. You have to admit. I mean, really, how believable is the plot about the captain who navigates his spaceship through the far reaches of the galaxy on encounters a race of people? I mean, come on. Oh, I thought it was fantastic. I mean, you have to admit that the special effects were awesome and the acting wasn't bad either. Oh, come on, what about the ship's communication officer? I mean, what did you think about him? Wasn't he a little weird to you? He was always talking to himself and he had the funny hairdo. Well, he was a little unusual, but the ship's doctor was amazing. It was so cool when he brought the captain back to life during one of the battles. That was pretty realistic, but then the rest of the movie just went from bad to worse. And the photography was so fake. How do you know? You were snoring, so neighbors probably had to close their windows. It was that bad. Oh, well, let's go to bed. It was on a dreary night of November that I beheld the accomplishment of my trials with an anxiety that almost amounted to agony. I collected the instruments of life around me that I might infuse a spark of being into the life thing that lay at my feet. It was already 1 in the morning. The rain pattered dismally against the panes, and my candle was nearly burned out when by the glimmer of the half-extinguished light I saw the dull yellow eye of the creature open. It breathed hard, and a convulsive motion agitated its limbs. How can I describe my emotion at this catastrophe, or how delineate the red home with such infinite pains and care I had endeavored to form his limbs were in proportion, and I had selected his features as beautiful. Beautiful! Great God! His yellow skin scarcely work of muscles and arteries beneath. His hair was of a lustrous black and flowing, his teeth of a pearly whiteness, but this luxuriance only formed a more horrid contrast with his watery eyes. It seemed almost of the same color as the dune white sockets in which they were set, his shriveled complexion and straight black lips. The different accidents of life are not so changeable as the feelings of human nature. I had worked hard for nearly 2 years for the sole purpose of infusing life into an inanimate body. For this I had deprived myself of rest and health. I had desired it with an ardor that far exceeded moderation, but now that I had finished, the beauty of the dream vanished, and breathless horror and disgust filled my heart.